Welcome back, Netrunners. I am here with Alec and Holly. Guys, great last match. Enjoyed watching that.
Thank you, sir.
So we're going to keep you on pins and needles. I'm not going to spoil what I have heard from the results. You saw, obviously, Alec and Holly's match. You saw the results of that, so they both split. So really, really close top four. We're going to, after this interview, we're going to take a break. We'll shuffle it up, bring Pacer back. We'll go through results. But let's walk through those last matches. Those are some explosive ones. So let's start maybe with the first one.
Literally.
HB, you're sitting across from Noise. You had a solid opening with some ice, but kind of what's going through your mind? How do you try to navigate that Noise matchup?
Well, first of all, you need the ice.
You do need that ice.
Find it. And I was struggling a little bit to find it. I managed to get a good opening hand that got me the ice on the centrals.
Yep.
But then you got to stabilize, and you got to get something in a remote. You got to get your remote game working. And you got to dig for good ice.
Yeah.
So there's certain really good ice against Noise, like Architect and Turing and Wraparound. And I wanted to see those pieces.
Yeah.
So that involves some Jacksoning and some drawing and just getting stabilized and ready to fast advance and try and play around Collide.
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest pieces of ice that kind of turned the corner was when the Heimdall 1 got rezzed. I mean, that was one where without a Faust on the board, it takes a whole David to eat through it. How did you feel once you finally got that rezzed and protecting that Sand?
It was good. It felt great to have that there, and then behind it a Turing. So if I ever wanted to control that remote and definitely keep the runner out, then I could do it.
Yeah.
So that was a good feeling.
Now, Holly, on your side, I mean, Noise, you had decent opener. Wild side you saw fairly early, but Aesop never showed up to the party. What was going through? I mean, I know you saw a lot of cards. You never quite saw it. How do you kind of navigate that match when Aesop is not in play?
It was a really stressful match for me. I think personally, I don't handle fighting ETF well either. But I felt very money starved. I was trying to get those cashes out to do what I could. But without that Aesops, I knew I was in a pretty bad spot, and I realized the turn after that I could have saved the clot if I would have clone chipped it out anyway.
Because the Kronos project was tough. I mean, it was one of those where it wasn't like a max matchup where you literally hit their entire archives. But the Kronos project, I mean, when you take cash and clot out of the game,
it's pretty
pretty
hit.
relevant. Yeah. And it was one of those where when I was watching the match, I think, Pacer and I were both looking at it. We saw once the second medium got online, I think that's when we started to tell ourselves, well, the Noise build always has a chance if you can just hope to see enough cards or mill enough viruses. When you had that second medium, what was kind of your path to victory? Would you think you were going to virus install for the win or medium run for the win?
I was really going to try to medium run.
Okay.
And there was one where I passed the first ice and jacked out before the Eli. Because I was going into that run like really hype, and I realized that he still had that Cyberdex installed over in the remote.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I got up there, he was just going to hit that anyway. And so from there on, it was kind of a try and snipe an agenda before he can score it, but he had 6 points at this point.
Yeah.
So
one of the cards I thought that made a big difference, at least in terms of not snowballing the matchup in Noise's favor, you had, I don't know how many you played, but you had a Cyberdex virus suite in the deck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely, seeing that early, I feel like made a big difference. How many of those are you running in your deck? You don't mind me
Just
asking?
one.
Okay.
But it's enough.
It is
enough recursion out of HB and Director Haas's pet project and Jackson. It's a real priority target.
That card, I will say, when you got the Haas, the Director Haas's pet project scored, getting that back in, getting the Cyberdex back in play seemed like a huge play at that time.
It wasn't the most optimal score to get that 1 point because I needed only 7 and I'd already scored my 1-pointer in Chronos.
Sure.
But the CVS was sitting there in archives and I had to get it back.
Yeah. Now, the play of the game that I remember looking back at, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know if he sees it, was when you got the Architect fire and you saw the 5 cards and you had the Breaker Bay at the bottom, like, he could Breaker Day on the Cyberdex at the guy, like, does he see it? Does he see it?
Yeah.
Does he see it? And then I saw, like, the move over and whatnot. It was just one of those where, it's funny how in Netrunner every credit really does matter because one credit difference, you can't biotic out. Holly can, ran with medium or whatnot and do it. And I'm just like, this is why we love the game.
Breaker Bay is an amazing card.
Yeah.
It really is.
For HB. It's such a boon.
How many do you play in that deck? How many?
I believe 2.
Okay, because I know that's another one where it's like Noise needs to see the wild side pancakes, Aesop stuff early, and if you don't, the deck feels different. Same with Breaker Bay. When you don't see it early, I mean, in your case, you drew the hedge fund, you had enough other ones to kind of stabilize you, but it's like when you're not seeing Breaker Bay early enough to get the free Adonis or the free Eve, the deck can tend to play a lot differently than when you have it.
True.
So, talk me through that second game. That was one of those where it was just one of those where you see NEH, obviously we'd seen you on camera earlier, Holly, and so we kind of knew what the deck was up to. Maybe let's start with you, Alec. When you look at NEH, do you think you're facing fastrobiotics? Do you think it's a scorch deck? Like, what were you expecting when you saw that identity?
You really don't know, and you really can't know until you start to see the pieces. So you just got to play conservatively until you can feel it out.
Okay.
And so that I wasn't making many successful runs, if any. I wasn't threatening for fear of mid-seasons. I had my combo in hand, and I was really focused on getting it set up because it was all there. It was ready to go. And that was just one turn where I just didn't see it coming.
Guard down. Now, Holly, when, I guess, flip side of that question, when runners see you, do you think that they're playing around you as a scorch deck or as a fastrobiotics deck? What do you tend to see them play as more?
I kind of agree with him that most runners honestly see it as a pretty ambiguous thing and will play very cautiously until they figure it out.
Okay.
And that's why, like I did it this game and I did it the one previously streamed where I typically am more okay with the naked agendas.
Yeah.
Just because I know they're going to play conservatively until they can kind of feel it out. I know when I play against NEH nowadays, I generally assume it's Scorch.
Okay. Seems reasonable. Because it was interesting. Pacer and I were talking about that on stream, and I said, usually when I sit down, I assume Scorch, and he said the opposite. He's like, I assume astrobiotics. And, in some cases, you might play the same way because you're afraid of Architect or depending on what the build is, but it definitely is a difference between, both of them can snowball out of control. One naked Astro script scored, and it feels awful lot like the same matchup of just you're kind of waiting to lose at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Holly, when you installed that breaking news, how often do you use that as kind of your setup for the kill? How often do you land that?
It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
It works pretty often, especially if I've kind of done one or two remotes already where it's been like a pad campaign and then a Jackson, and so a lot of people see me do the what is a breaking news, and they say like, oh, it's just another econ card.
Yeah.
At the time, I did have the mid-seasons in hand.
Okay.
If it didn't work.
Yep.
But no, I'm all about the naked agendas.
Makes sense. Now, when you saw Mr. Bagbiter himself, Theo, join the party, I got to imagine that's not a matchup you play every day. What was going through your mind of he's going to draw not just some cards, but all of the cards? What's going through your mind when Theo hits the table?
I had actually not seen anyone really playing him up until about a week ago.
Yep.
And I was at a kit night about a week ago, and we had 2 people playing it. And so I saw it, and I was like, oh, shit, this again.
This guy. Yeah.
But no, it's like it's really worrisome, especially as a Scorch deck.
Yeah.
Because if he gets that game day off and has 21 cards in hand.
Which one of these 18,000 cards would you like to trash?
Right. Yeah, and so
it's
definitely worrisome to see.
Pacer and I were both commenting, you clearly snuck it out at the right time where it was that kind of critical turn where I saw the quality time in hand, and it's one of those you're kind of under pressure of, well, if I quality time and I don't have enough clicks to magnum opus up to keep my hand size, but then I've got that face down and I've got the Jackson. It was just kind of that one perfect turn before you turn the corner.
Yep.
And Pacer and I were just kind of sitting there dumbstruck of like, wait, how many cards does he have? Like, oh, wait, that's done. This is over. Wow.
It's all over.
So it's just one of those where it was a good tempo play, and after that I think that's just a build that I've never played against. I've seen the deck list before, but I do think that's an interesting thing. For those watching, I think NEH usually has been playing around Plascrete, but now I guess another way, Theo is going to be the card that people have got to figure out. I don't know, snatch and grab. I don't know. Like, we got to figure out the tech of how to deal with Theo now.
Well,
Contract killer.
We've seen him show up today.
Built into NEH, though, is one of the worst cards for me to see once I've gotten the combo off, and that is Sweeps Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will Sweeps
That's
Week
always fun.
for literally my entire token pile.
I've had people
Sweeps
Sweeps Week against me when I have 5 cards in hand with that deck, and I go, good. Yes, play them all.
High five.
Play them all.
Get them all
because
out of the way.
it'll just get worse for me.
Very nice.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, excellent match, both of you. We are going to take a quick break to get some results. We'll let these guys know. I know they're waiting on pins and needles to figure out the results. Let's figure out who's coming back tomorrow. Stick with us.